Control. Welcome to the Daily Dose, guys. My name is Brian. We're going to talk a little bit about control tonight because control is important. You know, I read a book by Brian Tracy many years ago. It's one of my favorite books ever. If you ever get the chance to read it, it's called Maximum Achievement by Brian Tracy. And in that book, he talks about something called the law of control. And the law of control states that you only feel good about yourself to the degree to which you feel that you're in control of your life. And that actually makes sense, doesn't it, right? I mean, if you feel like you're running the show, if you feel like you're in control, if you feel like you have influence over your life and you have some say-so in what's happening to you, you feel confident, you feel good about you. But if you feel like everybody else in the world is determining for you how your life is going to go, if you feel more like a victim than a victor, then chances are you're going to have less confidence. You're not going to feel as good about yourself, right? So it just makes sense. And the law of control is extremely important because one of the ways that people begin to feel out of control in their lives is when they begin to worry about things, fret about things, and spend time and energy trying to influence things that they have no influence over. I mean, think about this, right? The weather. You can't change the weather. You can't. Worrying about the weather isn't going to change it. Now, certainly we should plan for natural disasters and things like that, right? But you can't change the weather. So any amount of time or energy that you spend being upset about how the weather is going to turn out is wasted energy. It's wasted energy. Focus on spending your energy where you actually have influence. Every one of us has a sphere of influence, right? Some people's are bigger than others, but everybody's got a sphere of influence. If you're operating inside that sphere of influence, then you're spending your time and energy influencing things that you actually have the power to influence. And that allows you to feel in control of your life. But if you're trying to control things that you have no ability to control, that's when you begin to feel manipulated. That's when you begin to feel out of control. That's when you begin to feel like life is happening to you instead of you living your life on purpose. And that will begin to give you feelings of inadequacy, feelings of frustration, all these negative things that we don't want in our lives. We don't want this stuff in our lives. So how do you harness that law of control and begin to build a momentum of confidence and excitement and expectancy? And the answer is keep yourself inside the sphere of control. So, for example, let's talk about the presidential election because that's what got me thinking about all this. And I'm not going to talk about who to vote for. It's not what I do, okay? But I am going to say this. Every one of us, if you are living in this country, if you're a citizen of this country, you have the ability to vote. You have the ability to influence the election. So go cast your vote, right? I know a lot of folks have said like, well, I'm not voting for either one of these folks. I'm sitting this one out. And you can do that if you want to, sure. But why would you give up that influence that you have? See, if you give up your ability to vote, then guess what? After the election's over, you could be all kinds of frustrated because you felt like the new leadership in the country happened to you. Now, if the person you vote for doesn't get elected, well, sometimes that happens, right? But at least you felt in control. You felt like you had some influence, you exerted that influence, you did what you could to move the country in the direction that you thought it ought to go. It all comes back to control and how you feel about you. So I would suggest that if you're one of those people that's like, I can't support either one of these folks, right? Just go vote for the one that you dislike the least, right? Because at least you're exercising your ability to influence something that's inside your sphere of influence, as small as that influence might be. One of 360 million votes. But everybody gets one. We all get to have some influence there. So the law of control now is supremely important to how you feel about you and how confident you are and how much expectancy you have about things happening good for you inside of your life. If you stay away from worrying about things you don't have any control over, you'll be happier long term. And that's the dose. Have a great week, everybody.